Back to the book. Well, lads, bad news, said Pete. The Atlantic conveyor has been sunk. How the fuck did that get hit? Asked someone from the rear. You tell me. Pete wasn't a happy man, nor were we, for the ship had been carrying the Chinooks and luxury kit like tents, overboots, and so on. So there was a supply ship. Well, a ship that had a bunch of supplies on it, including helicopters. And helicopters is what's supposed to transport the paras around Falkland. That was the plan. That just got sunk. And not only did it get sunk with the helicopters on it, it got sunk with the things like tents and sleeping bags that's going to allow them to be, operate comfortably in this cold environment. If you don't know where Falkland Islands is, it's down by Antarctica. Back to the book. Some bastard should fall for this, we thought. All that kit on one bloody ship. Bad news of our choppers being sunk hit us sorely, and many of us were still thinking about it when Pete announced the next info. No choppers. So the bigwigs have decided that we start walking ASAP, like today. Pete gave us a breakdown of what was happening. 2 para was on the march to Goose Green. 45 Commando were to head north to a settlement called Douglas. We, of 3 para, were to take Teal Inlet. Within an hour, all kit was packed tightly away, last meals and brews demolished, weapons oiled and ready, and bunkers evacuated. Brews. He's talking about tea. And the Brits, if you don't know, they like their tea. And it's epic. And I saw that, with Brits that I've worked with. Obviously, I'm married to a Brit, so I know how much they like tea and drink tea. Mm-hmm. I saw it overseas. Guys would be they just would be ready to brew tea at any given time. The first people, the Sri Lankan, when I was working with the Sri Lankan guys back in the day, they've been heavily influenced by the British Army, and by the British culture, because that was a British settlement for a long time. They got their tea on too. They would brew you'd take a break for 10 minutes. These guys would be over there with a little stove, little hex lamp, brewing up a tea. Yeah. So that's something that you're gonna. And I'm talking about it now. I don't highlight it as much as I could in this podcast, but that's what they're talking about: having a cup of tea, brewing a cup of tea. Yeah, doing a brew. When I worked with guys, the SAS guys that would come and stay with us here, those guys were the same way. Get their brew
tea on.
Yeah, they gotta have a cup of tea.
Solid.